Have you noticed how, when we walk into a crowded room, it feels like every pair of eyes is on us? It's almost as if you can feel the judgment in the air, like everyone has an opinion about who you are. It's a heavy feeling, isn't it? A burden of stress. But is that really the case? Are we truly under a spotlight all the time? Or is our mind creating this sense of exposure? Here's the truth. There's a psychological phenomenon behind this feeling, and it's fueling social anxiety for many people. Now, imagine this. What if I told you that no one's really paying that much attention? Strange to think about, right? Deep down, we're way more concerned with our own image than others are. And here lies the key to breaking through many of our shyness blocks. So why do we feel this constant exposure? It all starts with a trap set by our own mind, creating this intense feeling that we're always being watched. This is called the spotlight effect, and it's more common than you think. Our mind, trying to protect us, activates this perception that we're always the center of attention, like there's a spotlight on everything we do. And the more we focus on it, the more real it seems, creating a cycle of discomfort that can grow into a major barrier. Our tendency to overvalue what others think of us is essentially an evolutionary adaptation where being accepted by the group meant safety. Long ago, when we lived in tribes, being excluded could mean real danger. After all, survival depended on belonging to a community. Today, this mental program is a bit outdated. Our mind still operates on, I need to be accepted at any cost, even though deep down, we know this fear is no longer justified. Instead of protecting us, it ends up holding us back. This exaggerated self-consciousness is the root of the discomfort we feel in social situations. It's like we're constantly monitoring ourselves to avoid mistakes, but this only feeds insecurity. And the most interesting part, this constant feeling of being observed intensifies social stress. According to studies, the spotlight effect triggers such high self-consciousness that we start avoiding situations where we might appear imperfect, which ironically just makes us feel more insecure. The path to freedom involves a well-known practice in psychology, exposure therapy. It's about gradually putting yourself in those situations that make you feel uncomfortable, little by little, until your mind starts to realize that nothing terrible actually happens. Here's a practical example. When you expose yourself to uncomfortable situations, like speaking in front of a group or recording a video in a busy place with lots of people around, your brain feels that initial friction, a stress or discomfort that can feel daunting. But it's precisely this practice that, over time and repetition, teaches us to relax and see that, in the end, no one is really paying that much attention. This practice of exposing yourself to the spotlight builds what we call anti-fragility. Anti-fragility goes beyond resilience. While resilience is simply resisting stress, anti-fragility is about growing from it. And this is the key to overcoming shyness, exposing yourself to small discomforts constantly until what was once terrifying becomes just another part of life. The more you practice this, the more your brain starts to realize that nothing terrible actually happens. Over time, that initial nervousness starts to fade. That initial discomfort becomes a sort of familiar unease, which, with practice, turns into naturalness and confidence. It's almost like training a muscle. At first, it hurts, but you get stronger with each repetition. Each small experience adds up until you find yourself doing things you once thought were impossible. So, the idea here is to start small. Choose a mildly uncomfortable situation and increase it as you feel ready. It could be speaking up a bit more in meetings or challenging yourself to say something simple in public. Each of these moments will help dismantle the spotlight effect and show your brain that you don't need to live at the mercy of your own shyness. It's important to understand that introversion and shyness are different things. Being introverted is actually a way to connect more deeply with your own thoughts and enjoy your own company. Shyness, on the other hand, often limits us, preventing us from showing what we're capable of. It's like a barrier we put between ourselves and the world. This is something the book Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain explains very well. In it, she shows that introverted people have a unique strength and incredible talents that can shine, even without being the center of attention. For those trying to embrace and value their own nature, This is a valuable lesson. But it's important to remember, what we're aiming for here isn't to deny our essence, but to find ways to overcome the shyness that blocks our potential. If your shyness is related to deeper traumas or significant past experiences, or if you feel that these tips aren't enough and you're facing bigger challenges, it might be helpful to explore other forms of support. Therapy with specialized psychologists, theater classes, public speaking courses, and other activities that encourage self-expression are great ways to build confidence at your own pace. The key is finding what works best for you. If you think these ideas make sense, click the thumbs up button below. This simple action helps the channel and allows more people to discover ways to live with more ease and self-confidence. Thanks for being here.